Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Fraser, and I'm joined today by one of my good friends, Ashwin, who I recently met in Chengdu at the ITTF Mixed Team World Cup. I thought that together we could do a review of this game-changing 2025 season for World Table Tennis. Both myself and Ashwin are big table tennis fans. We've been involved in table tennis competitively. Ashwin is a former Indian junior representative, fantastic player, a real encyclopedia who now also edits articles for the ITTF on a freelance basis as well. So, welcome to the channel, Ashwin.
Really kind introduction there, Fraser. But yeah, really pumped to be here, man. Always happy to talk table tennis with someone who's obviously one of the leading voices in the sport. So yeah, really nice to be here and looking forward to it. Yeah.
Thank you. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I mean, it's just been a crazy season. There's been so many events. You and I have both watched so many of the WTT series events, starting off from the star contender in Doha, then the Singapore Smash. We had 4 Grand Smashes this year, 6 Champions events. How would you, before we get into this, summarize this year for table tennis?
I think this definitely has to count as one of the landmark years for table tennis. I think there's been quite a few interesting storylines. I think it's made for great viewing as a fan and as someone who is interested in table tennis professionally, especially with I think for me the biggest highlight has to be the fact that we had a South American, a Brazilian World Cup winner with Hugo Calderano winning the men's singles World Cup in Macau earlier this year. So that has to be one of the biggest things for the sport, and I don't think as a sport you can ask for more with the amount of representation that table tennis has now from all these different areas in the world, with so many players doing well. There's it's though China is still the dominant table tennis force, and very rightfully so. I don't think it's as straightforward anymore as it has been in the last maybe decade or so. So I think it's nice to see the rejuvenation of so many old table tennis powerhouses and the emergence of new ones as well. So I think the highlight definitely for me was the Hugo win. But even apart from that, great season for table tennis. And yeah, I'm really excited to what I'm gonna see in 2026. Yeah.
That,
What are your thoughts? I'm
yeah,
interested with that. Yeah.
yeah, I'd go right along with what you said with the World Cup in Macau this year. I think Ugo Calderano has achieved, relatively speaking, the most as a non-Chinese player. Winning that World Cup, being the first guy outside of Europe and Asia to win a World Cup, and then proving that that wasn't a fluke, getting to the final of the World Championships as well. I think that was exactly what he needed after the heartbreak of the Paris Olympics last year, because I was there myself watching. It was my first time ever being live at an Olympic Games, and I was convinced he was going to win it. The form that he was in, he was like a knife through butter, destroying everybody. And Alexei Lebrun, Zhang Wuqin. Then he came up against Trulls in the semi. I thought he's going to beat Trulls, and he had a good record against Fan Zhendong, who looked a little bit shaky against Tomokazu. He knew that was a huge chance for him. He did let it slip, and you could see in the bronze medal match he wasn't fully recovered against Felix Lebrun.
Yeah, he just didn't turn up, didn't he, for that bronze medal match? And I
No.
can imagine, man. I mean, that must have been brutal. Especially, I think that the first game was it that he lost from about 9-4 or 10-4,
Yeah.
leading in the first against Truls in the semifinals, and it just went downhill from there
Yeah.
without any rhyme or reason. So yeah, man, incredible of him to have come back from that big of a heartbreak. And most players probably would have thought that this was their biggest chance to become a part of table tennis history. You know,
100%.
because it doesn't really get easier, does it, with the amount of players that are coming up? And Hugo's been around for a while now. He's been South America's best player for more than a decade now, and Yeah, it must have been really hard. Paris must have been hard, and I've heard, from people. I unfortunately wasn't around in Paris, but I've heard stories from people that he was absolutely inconsolable for a few days after that, and so to be able to recover from that and then produce some of the best table tennis of your life right in the next season, to step up like that, incredible.
Yeah,
Has to be the story of the season, 100%.
yeah. For me, that is the Hall of Fame kind of standout result
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
year. You know, I
absolutely.
like what Jung Jika said about it. He said it's no flash in the pan. Supporting what you said,
Hmm.
Calderano's been around for a while, and he's gradually been getting
Yeah,
better and better. That Rio Olympics, got to the round of
yeah,
16. Tokyo had a chance to reach the semi-final there against Ovtcharov, but ended up losing 4-2. And now he's right there in the conversation as probably the best shot maker in the world in terms of how hard he can hit the ball. I've never seen anything like it.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, moving on. That probably is the most standout result of the year. But who else?
Yeah.
Who else really stands out for you in 2025? Who do you think's come on leaps and bounds? Who do you think has really proved a point?
There are a few names that come to mind, but I think we would be remiss if we don't talk about Zhu Yuling and the kind of comeback that she's made, representing Macau, China now, not Republic of China, but yeah, I mean, with she had a big break with illness. She's obviously not from the same generation of players as Sun Ying-sha and Wong Wen-yu, slightly different, slightly older generation. Most people didn't even know that she was probably back in training or aiming for an international comeback. So I literally had to just Google and just kind of recheck whether it's the same Zhu Yuling that I think it is. When I saw some of the results when she just come back earlier. So from coming back from that kind of an adversity to just making it back to top level table tennis, and she's not just active on the circuit anymore. She's a real contender at this point. She's won this. Was it the US Grand Smash that she
Yeah,
won?
her grand
She
return.
won. So she's won a Smash event. She's back in the top 8 of the world, very much relevant, beaten loads of top players this year. So that is definitely one stand, and it's always nice to see some of these old hands kind of come back and school some of the young
Yeah.
guys. It's always fun. It's clear that there's some differences in technique. With each generation of
Mm.
Chinese players, you can see those kind of technical upgradations that they keep bringing in, and it's clear that Wong Wen-yu, Sun Ying-sha, these guys are a lot more modeled on the men's game, actually. If you think
Mm.
about it, they've got bigger backswings, they've got bigger shots,
Yeah.
but Zoo, slightly different, slightly more old school, sticks
Yeah.
close to the table, centrally positioned, short backswing, short strokes, but still effective, man. I
Yeah.
mean, top 8 in the world at
This is the thing.
beyond 30 years old, to come back from illness. So yeah, Zhu Yuling is 100% another really, really big standout for me.
Me too. I
What
think.
about you?
I think. Yeah. I mean, if Calderano's result was absolute, history making, that was just so emotional. Seeing her make that
Yeah,
that grand return to the top, proving that on her day when the stars align, she can still
yeah,
be the hardest player in the world to beat. It was an interesting smash because it looked like a lot of the Chinese were struggling with jet lag. Sun Ying Sha was not at her best. She nearly lost to
yeah,
Yang Liu from Australia. Chen Yi ended up defeating her, and she got to the final there.
yeah.
Yeah, it was just a really turbulent grand smash. And fair play to Zhu Yuling. She capitalized on the chance. And
Yeah.
and she did it. So yeah, unbelievable. And talking about Zhu Yuling as a breakthrough star, she also got to the final of the contender in Taiyuan, which is
Hmm.
probably the toughest contender to win. And she was beaten in the final by Honoka Hashimoto, who I think deserves some flowers this year because for so long
She does, man. She does.
she she
Yeah.
she had nearly a 90% win rate against Chinese players for the first half of the
Yeah.
year, and then it was when she played Sun Ying Sha at the champion Yokohama, was beaten 3-1 but won the first game, that the Chinese seemed to gain a bit of a chokehold over her again. But what can you say about Honoka Hashimoto this year? Because she's been such a talking point.
I think the biggest thing about I mean the impact that Honoka Hashimoto, I mean, if I was to judge the impact that she's had on the year, I think she's just bringing the whole chopping style back into relevance. Because frankly, especially with the plastic ball coming in, I think there's been a bit of a drop in the effectiveness of choppers. There's not much backspin on offer anymore, and with players also naturally becoming a lot better, I think the volume is. I mean, a chopper has always been a rarity, but I think it's just gone further down. And I have to be honest, I did know of her before this season, but I hadn't watched much of her playing, and I was actually really surprised to know that she's actually the oldest female on the Japanese national team, and that means she's probably been around for ages. I think she's probably about 29 or 30, if I'm not wrong,
I think
and
she's a
been
little
around
younger.
for absolutely
I think she's a little younger.
little younger.
I think she's about 27. But
Let me
yeah,
give it a quick
have a
check.
double check of that. I think she is 27 because I remember thinking she's just a tiny bit older than myself.
Oh yeah, she is 27.
27.
Apologies, but still
But
the oldest, isn't she?
for Japanese
Still the
standards,
oldest.
that's
Yeah,
quite old.
yeah,
That she's a big sister of the
yeah.
team, effectively.
Exactly. And despite all she's done, they still don't see her as the right fit for the national team because she didn't make the cut to Chengdu. I don't think they really see her as an Olympic, a
No.
potential Olympic kind of player, especially with LA still being at least a couple of seasons away.
Yeah.
So I mean, it must be really tough for her to kind of be able to digest that and swallow that and still be able to do so well. And one of the most impactful matches that I did see of Honoka was, I think it was the WTT star contender in Chennai where Chanta incidentally retired. I think it was her and Miwa Harimoto in the finals
That's right.
of the women's singles. And after ages, I saw the expedite rule coming into play right in the first game, and that has to be one of the most brutal matches I have seen, purely because both the players were just absolutely gassed, man, by the end of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I
Just
like
a bludgeoning
Miwa
match.
was, yeah, it was brutal. And for people who don't think that a professional table tennis match is taxing, please go have a watch of
Please.
that and
Yeah.
tell me that isn't anything less than a professional tennis match or a
Yeah.
professional football match in terms of pure physical brutality, honestly. Because Miwa, I mean, I think she probably needed a stretcher at the end of it, man. She barely could walk up to Honoka and give her a chance. Credit to Miwa, obviously, for winning, for still managing to hold on for the win. But yeah, Honoka has really been a revelation, and it's nice to see both Honoka and Linda as well getting some good results this year. Linda Bergstrom for Sweden, so nice to see some good choppers back in action, 100%.
Yeah, these
And obviously
hybrids.
doing well against the Chinese as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
yeah,
especially Honoka. I know what you're saying. It must be tough for her to digest the fact that, the likelihood of her playing the Olympics is very low. She did
yeah,
get selected for the Asian Team Championships this year. DPR Korea actually nearly defeated Japan.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Was
so
it some Kim Kum
Kim
Yong?
Kum Yong.
Yeah, Kim Kum Yong, genius.
Yeah, unbelievable.
That almost got them through. Yeah, she's
Unbelievable
incredible,
player.
isn't she? Yeah,
She beat
yeah,
Miwa.
she is.
She beat Miwa in the final of the Asian Championships last year in Astana, Kazakhstan.
Yeah,
So she's the reigning Asian
yeah.
champion in women's singles, Kim Kum Yong. And of course, at the
Yeah,
Olympics, silver medalist as well in the mixed doubles. So
in the mixed doubles. Yeah,
maybe, I mean, if she probably will be playing the LA Olympics, won't she? She'll
yeah,
be one of the
yeah.
dark horses.
I think she will.
She'll be one of the dark horses.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. I absolutely think so. you know, I've played with short pips and anti-spin and different kinds of these pimple rubbers all through my life. I do play sometimes with the inverted rubbers as well, but not nearly as good as I am with the anti-spin and the short pip. So I sometimes like to think of myself as a bit of an expert in you know in kind of analyzing these rubbers and these playing styles. So I really like what Kim Kam Yong brings to the table, because again, the plastic ball, I think, took away quite a bit of the advantage of rubbers like these.
Mm,
You know, because you need some element of backspin, which can only come in if there's some topspin that's coming in from the other side. But with the plastic ball not being as spinny as the older celluloid one, and of
mm.
course slightly bigger as well, so I think it just killed some aspects of the game, you know. Just but it's really really refreshing to see someone like Kim Kam Yong, who, as far as I know, kind of uses a hybrid version of the long pips, but with a special kind of sponge, if I'm not wrong. I'm not really sure what exactly it is, and I've hardly seen anyone use it the way she does. Even
Yeah,
if you like go through the archives of table tennis, where there's a lot more variety, you know, she can do both the chop block thingy where the ball just drops dead,
yeah.
but suddenly pick up the pace as well. And she literally ran circles around Miwa when she played her, and Miwa's no bomb, you know.
No,
Miwa's pretty
I
incredible.
mean, look at Miwa's record
So
against Honoka Hashimoto. It's so deadly. I mean, she's such a
yeah.
wise young player who has the mind game of a senior. Um, yeah,
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. So she's not really hard to out. She's really hard to out strategize. You know, as a
yeah,
player,
100%.
most of the matches you actually see Miwa losing is because she's been outplayed,
Yeah.
not because she's been outsmarted. But I
Mm,
think Kim Kam Yong was one of the few that's actually managed to outsmart Miwa and get a win against her. So, and obviously the Olympics as well last year. Unfortunately, Kim Kam Yong, we won't be seeing much of her on the circuit unless it's an Asian Championship
mm.
or a World Championship. So I'm really excited to see how she does in London next year.
Yeah.
I think
I imagine
that should
DPR will
be
be
really
playing.
interesting. They will be, and I'm really interested to see what she does there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic player. She played Miwa at the World Championships this year in Doha. Miwa beat her in
Hmm.
7 games, so that is a really, really
Yeah.
interesting rivalry between Kim Kam Yong and Miwa Haramoto.
Yeah.
On the subject of funky equipment, Ashwin, let's move on to Sabine
Yeah.
Winter because she has been,
Oh, my absolute favorite.
yeah, she's been one of the storied stars in the women's game this year. First European
Yeah.
woman to reach a champions final. What can you say
Hmm.
about her? And you know, I mean, we've been saying it for a long time, but I think we've really shown it, seen it this year in table tennis. It takes something different to really challenge the Chinese or to dominate as a non-Chinese player. It takes something different. And she is the epitome of different. What a player.
Absolutely incredible, man. And it's she's been around for ages now. She's been a part of the German national team for more than a decade, and to be making that big of a change, to go from inverted rubbers to anti spin on the backhand, and then being able to play at the level I think she's the only non-Asian woman in the top 20, isn't she? If I'm not wrong,
Yeah.
and obviously the only European woman to reach the final of a Smash as well. Did really well at the mixed team World Cup as well. Got some really good wins for Team Germany. Such a versatile player, so passionate, so great to talk to off court as well. I think she embodies everything that um, any upcoming player can kind of idolize in a professional. You know, if there's someone, you know, watching someone play or wanting to learn something from someone about how to approach things on the court and how to be a really good holistic person off of the table, I think Sabine Winter is the person that you should be watching and learning from, to take away years of muscle memory and make
Mm,
that big of a change in your at the age of probably 29 or 30, and to still manage to be so relevant at this level. And not just relevant, she's actually got all her major career highs
yeah.
after she's made this change, isn't
Exactly.
she? So I think a shout out has to go to the coaching team as well
Mm,
when we talk about changes
yeah, Tamara
that they
Borosh,
changed.
you know,
Yeah,
former world number 2 player. Yeah,
yeah,
it's incredible that she's gone from the
yeah,
German number 5, you know, barely inside the world's top 60, to becoming the
mm-hmm.
European number 1 in the space of a season. It's just unheard
Yeah,
of.
yeah,
We've never seen
unheard of.
anything like that in the modern era of table tennis. A pro player, an established player, change their equipment, and she helped Germany win their 10th European
Yeah,
gold medal this year at the European Team Championships as well. So, yeah, an
yeah.
unbelievable player, and someone who maybe goes on to do even better things in 2026.
I do think that that is quite realistically possible because I don't think she wins matches because of the anti-spin, in all honesty. I think she's always had one of the best forehands in
Mm,
Europe, if not the world.
yeah.
The backhand also good, but yeah, based on whatever we've seen of her in the past, not maybe good enough to cut it to the top 20 or the top 10 in the world, but she's obviously made some changes very in a very planned way. It might seem it might have seemed a very foolhardy or impulsive decision when people initially saw her, and I think she was calling her Mad Sabine, or the crazy anti-spin girl, or something of the sort on Instagram. I don't remember what exactly, but I think that's how she started things off.
Yeah.
But I think it's anything but crazy. She I think she just put together the fact that she has a great forehand that can keep coming in into play if she has some kind of a disruptor to force the opponent to put in some weak balls, which the anti-spin does. And her fitness levels are absolutely incredible, that she can cover so much ground on court to be able to get those big forehands in play. Great serves as well. She didn't have a great receive game, which again has been offset by the anti spin because it pretty much kills everything that comes her way. So, because she's so new to the anti spin, I think she's only going to get better at using it.
Mm,
She's going to learn how to control it better because obviously top players have a lot of power, a lot of spin going on. So, if she learns how to control that slightly better, get that consistency rate on the backhand a bit higher, I don't see why she can't be top 10,
me too.
especially yeah, yeah,
Me
yeah.
too.
I don't see why not. Yeah,
When
I
she
don't
becomes
think.
more instinctive with this style. I mean, she's only 1 year
Yes,
properly into
yes,
it. It feels to me
exactly.
as well like no matter how much you study it, it doesn't really become much easier to play. Yes, you can come up with tactics, but she's expecting a
Hmm.
long serve to backhand. She can twiddle. She can play a backhand counter receive. She can pivot.
And she's got the UFO
The
backhand as well, doesn't
UFO,
she? I
man.
love the UFO, man. I
Beautiful.
love the name. I,
Yeah.
I love, like, shout out to whoever who came up with it,
Yeah,
honestly.
that's a great
But
name,
yeah,
man.
incredible to be able to doing that. I was actually in Macau with the ITTF, covering the men's and singles. Men's and women's singles World Cup in Macau, and I saw Tamara and Sabine getting a session in just before one of her matches, and she was absolutely creaming those UFO backhands.
Yeah.
And it's not something she does instinctively. I mean, she would have come up with it instinctively, I'm sure. No coach is going to be teaching you that kind of a backhand, but she figured out that she's good at it. And again, this again, shows that she's managed to kind of club her instincts with some planning, and got the best out of herself, what her natural talent and skill set kind of brings to the table. So I saw her, rip those UFO backhands for about 50 times in a row, and tomorrow's just feeding her those multi balls, and she's just going at it, man. So she's obviously been refined through a lot of practices. There's been a lot of thought put into that part of her game as well. So
Yeah.
I think that's where her and the German team in general kind of, you know earn their place as the top European nation, in my opinion,
Mm.
because the amount of structure they have in place in terms of what they want to improve and how they want to develop their skill set. So yeah, huge shout out to whoever came up with the UFO backhand term, obviously. But yeah, Sabine is an incredible athlete and person. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, amazing story, amazing player, brilliant team. They proved that at the Mixed Team World Cup, Team Germany. You know, the depth across
Yeah,
both the men and the women's team is the best in Europe. You know, a
absolutely.
lot of people were surprised to see that the French women's team uh, lose at the European Team Championships in the group stage, being the third seeds. But they're a very, very young team. There is quite a big gulf in terms of class between the French men and the French women. And that's another thing. We'll see if it can maybe balance out a little bit with Pavard, the Lutz sisters, Liana Hoxha, and a couple of others coming up and through.
Yeah.
But yeah, Germany, tactically, so mechanical. Just amazing.
So much precision and interesting that you mentioned tactics while talking about the mixed team World Cup, because that was, I think, one of Germany's biggest talking points, that they didn't have any set combination as to who would be playing the doubles fixtures, who would be playing the singles. They had so much depth in all departments that it was such a horses for courses approach, which paid them dividends, honestly, because apart from some of the top teams, they pretty much looked unbeatable. I think only China and Japan had a realistic chance of beating them, and they were the only ones who actually beat them. So I think depth is something France and other teams need to figure out going into LA 2028, with the mixed team format now being a part of the Olympics, which again, I think that also is one of the highlights for table tennis as a sport. The number of medal events that we have at the Olympics has gone up, and I think that kind of cements our place as one of the top racket sports in the world. I think that's incredible, and I don't think there can be any more motivation for anyone picking up a racket. The amount of glory on offer, if you think about it, there's so many champions events, smashes, the WTT circuit, national events, and obviously the Olympics has a lot more options as well now. So
the future certainly looks bright.
I can't hear you, mate. I think I've lost you for some reason.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I can't hear you, no.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
Oh, yeah, you're back now.
You can hear me?
I can.
Perfect. I was going to ask you, Ashwin, do you think that the Mixed Team World Cup makes China harder to beat when it comes to taking a gold medal away from them at the Olympic Games? What do you think on that?
I do think the format does bode well for any team that's got good depth in both the men and women, and China obviously great at pretty much everything when it comes to table tennis, but I don't think this specifically gives them an extra edge. If anything, I think the mixed team World Cup is designed more for the underdog to be able to do better, because an upset in the singles, I think, is a lot more difficult to manufacture than an upset in the doubles. And even in the recent losses, in the rare losses that China has had at the Olympics as well, which hasn't been that hasn't really happened in the last few editions, but the first one that comes to mind is the Mizutani and Ito win in the mixed doubles against Shushin and Liu Shiwen. So that was a big win for them. We had Hiroto Shinozuka and Shunsuke Togami become world champions in the men's doubles. Lim Jong-hoon and Shin Yubin won the WTT finals. Of course, Wong Chuchin and Sun Yingxia were affected by injury, so have to give them the benefit of the doubt there. But can't really take anything away from Lim Jong-hoon and Shin Yubin there for doing their job and playing their best. So I think if anything, I think this is the target. This is the format to target for most upcoming nations. And again, another example that I can think of is India. Did not really have a great mixed team World Cup, but they ran Japan pretty close, or they were at least running them close until a certain point in the fixture, really close in the mixed doubles. Manika got a big win against Ito. And by big win, what I mean is a 2-1 win. but still, because of the way the
Yeah,
format's
the best of
designed,
three kind of
every
levels the playing field a bit more because you require less games to win, and
exactly,
it puts more pressure on the on the
exactly,
better player. Yeah, 100%.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, and Manav beat Sora, who again
Yeah, that's a
another breakthrough
crazy
player.
win. On paper, that's a
Yeah,
great win.
so exactly. So just the slight, the just slightest bits of pressure can suddenly cause a mad 15 minutes, which can
Yeah.
pretty much turn the fixture around, because in table tennis 15 minutes can mean two game wins, which in the race of first to eight in the mixed team format is pretty much 25% of the job done.
Mm.
So I think while China still is very much the favorite going into LA, I think we can we aren't wrong in admitting that from pretty much right now. I do think that this is a chance for someone who's not seen as a medal hope in just the men's singles or the men's teams or women's teams, doubles or anything of the sort, to do well. And that kind of brings me to Croatia as well, who had an insane mixed team World Cup,
Yeah.
which I think kind of highlights my point that seedings and rankings go out of the window
If you
in
have
that
decent
format. If
depth and some good players, solid players, you've got a chance of getting a medal.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that would be my answer. Yeah.
Nice. I think that's a completely fair assessment of the event, and it's going to be exciting to see how it goes in the next couple of years. I doubt that we're going to
Mm-hmm.
see people like Calderano and Takahashi missing it as we get closer toward the Olympics in 2028. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
let's see what happens. What do you think of China right now as a team, as a unit, going into 2026? Are you worried for them in any way, shape, or form? I think that it's kind of common consensus that the men's team are looking a little bit more shaky than the women's team. And I think that a lot of people see this young, hungry Japanese men's team as the potential challengers to the throne with Tomokazu Haramoto, Matsushima, Tagami, Shinazuka. Strong, young team, very young team. They're going to be around for a while. So, what are your thoughts
Yeah.
on Team China going into 2026?
I do think Team China are still very much the favorites to win most of the major titles on offer, but I don't think it's going to be as straightforward as the last few years, especially I think the last decade or just over a decade. I think we saw probably what was one of the absolute golden generations of Chinese table tennis and it's not like they've not had that kind of depth in the past, with people like Liu Guoliang or Kong Lingwei,
And the women's
similar
team,
players,
Zhang
yeah,
Yining,
by
all these
similar players, I
players,
mean, exactly, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so two or three top players in a single generation kind of dominating the world, but they did have the Swedish counterparts to kind of offset them as well, and they did share a lot of titles with them. But then we saw this absolute golden generation from like 2008 onwards with Marlin, Wong Hao, Ma Long, Zhang Jike, Fan Zhendong, absolutely, Shu Xin. So, these guys, you just knew walking into a match against them that there's no way that, World Championship is not going to go to one of these
mm,
guys.
mm,
But I don't think that's the case now,
no,
which I think bodes well for both Chinese table tennis and world table tennis in general. I think it's a real reminder that there's no place for complacency
mm,
in top sport. And I do think, apart from Wong Chu Chin, who's got a bit more experience than Lin Shidong, but Lin Shidong still has quite a bit of time to develop himself, and I do think he'll be much more sharper next season. But yeah, I think the Japanese team, most of them under 25, fantastic group of players. I really, really like Shunsuke Togami. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the world. I think on his best day, he can pretty much beat anyone. I to be honest, I rate him over Harimoto purely in terms of what he has to offer.
yeah.
Harimoto obviously the better player right now, but I do
Tagami's
think
so
Togami has a
quick. He's probably the
he
fastest
is
player in the world
very
right
rapid.
now. I can't think of anybody
Yeah,
quicker.
yeah. Yeah. I'd probably agree. And maybe the only one I can also think of is Jong Woo Jin, but
Mm,
he's probably not as quick because he tends to go away from the table a bit.
mm,
But yeah, Shunsuke Togami, fantastic player, fantastic in the doubles already a world champion in
shit.
the men's doubles. But he had a great world championship in the singles as well, didn't he? Lost
Yeah, got to the
really close match in the
quarterfinal.
quarterfinals.
Morigard
Yeah,
beat him through injury. So
yeah,
yeah, that was
yeah.
an outstanding world championships for Tagami. Why
Yeah,
do you think that the Chinese men are more vulnerable than the Chinese women? Do you think it's a Chinese problem, or is it due to the physicality in the game? You said that Wang Manyu and Sun Yingsha, they play the game is modeled from some of the men's players, and I agree with you. But what do you put it down to? How could you describe it?
I think with the men, I think it's become a bit more psychological. When when you talk about players like Ma Long or Zhang Jike or players like that from that generation, or Fan Dong and these guys, you just could see that they had this inherent belief in major event that they'd pull through in a match. And you were talking about the Paris Olympics, and Fan Dong looking shaky, but the man went on to win the gold medal.
Mm.
So a shaky tournament where he's not looked his convincing best and he's had loads of tough moments, still ends up in an Olympic gold for the guy. So I think
Yeah,
that says a lot about the kind of belief that he carries. And the match against Harimoto, you could see that he was very clearly struggling, but not for a moment from an outsider's perspective did I feel that mentally he felt he was out of it, which I don't think is true for the current crop. And it doesn't help that they seem to have a bit of a hive mentality or a herd mentality, where if one of them, or if one of that core group is kind of breached, it makes everyone look vulnerable.
mm,
if,
mm,
if that makes sense, because
yeah,
if let's say Lin Shidong's lost a match, it kind of makes Wong Chuchin, kind of makes Lin Gaoyan,
yeah,
Liang Jinkun, everyone look a bit vulnerable.
yeah.
That's the kind of input I get from watching them play, or watching their body language, or watching their coaching team's body language, which I don't see happening in the women
No,
with Sun Ying-sha or Wong Mun-yu, even though they have they have tough moments of their own with players like Miwa, with or Shin Yubin, or even some of the younger Chinese that are coming up. I just don't see that fear in them about losing a match. They kind of back themselves to pull through.
yeah,
But with the men, I think it's more psychological. I don't think it's a lack of game.
mm,
I think it's more mental with them. And I think conversely, there's also a lot more belief in the non-Chinese players, that I think as a collective, if you want to break it down as China and non-China, all the non-Chinese players as a collective, in the men's at least, I think they have an inherent belief now that on a
yeah.
good day, if they play their best, get their tactics right, they can walk
And
out
they're
with a
not
win.
scared.
And it
They're
helps.
not scared.
They're not
They're
scared, and
playing Liang
no.
Jinkun or Lin Chidong, and they're thinking to themselves, "All right, I'm just playing a guy here. He's just a guy like
Yeah,
me. I can out muscle him. I can out macho him." But
yeah.
when you watch Hannah Goddard or Adriana Diaz or Pavard or one of these players that we're tipping as a potential long-term concern for the Chinese national team, you can still see that
Mhm.
deep down there is a bit of worry. There is a little bit of bowing down to them in a
Yes,
respect. That's the
yes.
psychological
They
element.
still don't see themselves at that level. Yeah. Absolutely, man. I completely agree with that. So yeah, I think it's more psychological. And I mean, someone like Benjamin Faraji has two major wins against
Yeah,
both
he is
the
the
top two
best
players,
example possible. He is definitely the best
right?
example
For
possible.
someone about the belief bit, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
he's
so
someone that I want to ask you
so.
about in a minute. But like
Mhm.
he's beaten Wang Chuqin and Lin Shidong before the age of 16. He
Yeah.
struggles to beat the Chinese juniors, but he can beat their best seniors. That is the
Yeah.
prime example that shows you how psychological it is, and how much belief is more than half the battle, isn't it? Way more than half the battle.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, it's kind of mental that Benyamin Faraji is not even world champion in his age group, and still one of the top players in the world in his age category, but not the most dominant one. Doesn't beat the top Chinese juniors
No.
like you just mentioned,
Yeah.
but has wins against the world number one and two. And I might have to check this, but I still don't think he's ranked in the top 100 of the world. I think he's just outside the top
Mm.
100 or the top outside the top 150 the last time I
Yeah.
checked, but that was a few weeks ago. So that's kind of insane that
Yeah.
he's managed to get those two wins, and I'm really curious to know why he's managed to do that. Because the win against Wong Chu Chin was last year, and it's hard to peg that off as a one-off, because in the same tournament he ran Lin Shudong really
Yeah,
close.
he did.
I think he lost in the final. And this year he's beaten him. And Lin Shudong's clearly better this year than last year. So there has to be something he's doing right. I'm really curious to know what you think he's doing right before I shoot theories of my own.
I think it's a personality thing. Um, is my audio by any chance coming out of your computer?
But no, it's not, mate. I've got the
That's
earphones on,
strange.
so
I kind
no.
of hear myself back sometimes. Anyway. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I think it must be a personality thing. He has the belief. He rises to the challenge. He thinks, I'm not gonna for a second give you any kind of idea that you're gonna beat me. I'm gonna look you in the eyes. I'm gonna stare at you when I'm serving, when I'm receiving. I'm gonna try and get in your head. And that's something that he might have inherited from some of the other Iranian players like Noshad Alamian. They have
yeah,
that characteristics. I've seen an
yeah. That
Iranian team
fire in the belly kind of players, aren't
fire in
they?
the belly.
They've just got
They're not nice to
yeah.
play. They're not nice to play,
No,
and
yeah, no.
that's great. And if there were more characters like that in the sport could even be in a better place because we need these fiery guys who are unafraid,
I agree, man.
unapologetic. That's what I'd say it
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
Because technically speaking, he hasn't got the backhand counter. He hasn't got the game. Most juniors can beat him. I mean, Chen, the upcoming left-handed player from China, the junior, he destroyed Faraji. Wasn't even close.
yeah.
Faraji just has
Ankur's beaten for Faraji as well.
Ankur.
Ankur Bhattacharjee, India's
Yeah,
Ankur. I think I don't think it was as straightforward, but yeah, he did manage to beat him. Yeah. So yeah, I get what you mean, man. And if I ask any Indian junior player out there, I think they would back themselves to even if they don't end up beating him, I think inherently they would carry the belief that yeah, I can get this guy.
yeah,
So yeah, I don't think he's super dominant or is anywhere close to being a complete player that's equipped to play at the men's level. But yeah, I love such characters who can kind of rise up, who make up for the lack of technique with heart. That's the kind of players I
yeah.
I root for, man.
Me
Honestly,
too,
yeah.
bro. Me too.
Love that.
Let's
Love
keep
that.
our eye on Faraji going into 2026. He's obviously a
Absolutely.
shooting star who is no short of any kind of confidence. And yeah, I
Hmm.
can't wait to see what happens for him. Who else are you
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing, Ashwin, on the subject of younger players? Do you think could really cause a wave in the world of table tennis coming into next season? Who have you had your eye on this year that you think can really make an impact?
I would have. I'm really inclined to say Sora, but I don't think we can put him in the category of upcoming players anymore, can we? So for someone who's already ranked in the top 15 or 20 in the world, has already won a Smash event as well. He has, hasn't he? He's won a
Champions,
Champions or a Smash.
champions,
Oh, sorry,
champion,
he's won a
champions
Champions.
Frankfurt.
He's already won. Yeah, so he's already won a Champions event. He's got loads of top wins against some really good players, brings some insane personality to
Yeah,
the table. Absolutely doesn't care about who he's playing, what the situation is. I think his philosophy is just see ball, hit ball. I think
yeah.
that's what it is.
There's no
Yeah,
interruption.
pure instinct.
He just,
No,
yeah, he's a
no, it's
savage,
pure animal instinct.
absolute
Yeah,
savage
yeah,
of a player. He's very different from a lot of the
yeah,
Japanese players. He's a lot less
yeah.
agreeable. He's somewhat of a hothead. I like it.
He is. Yeah, I love it. It makes for great viewership as well, honestly. And I think he needs to be that way. I mean, if he can find a way to kind of mature a bit and control
Mm,
that, or more than control, I would say channelize that in the right
mm.
direction, which is towards the ball and not the other stuff that's going around. I think no reason why he can't be top five or top three in the world right next year.
Yeah,
I would be really disappointed as a fan or a viewer to see Sora just languishing in that top 10 to 15 bracket.
yeah.
I want to see.
He seems meant
I
for
mean, that
more.
should be progress for Sora. Yeah, yeah. I want to see him clearly become a Japanese national team mainstay and have a really, really good World Championships at London. So, and I think anyone ranked in the top eight will really be careful that Sora doesn't fall into their draw. I think they'll be hoping that Sora is not one of the people they'll have to face. So yeah, I think he's the dark horse for the London World Champs. And just because I want to give it a bit of an I want to give an Indian perspective to it as well. I think Ankur Bhattacharjee is another really really exciting uh, young prospect. Got a win against Zhou Kai at the China Smash. Insane potential. Had a great World Under 19 Championships as well. Led the Indian team to honestly historic silver
Unprecedented.
medal. I mean, yeah, really emotional moment for most Indian table tennis fans. So I think Ankur again really can come across as a volatile personality, but I don't think volatile is the right word. I think inspired or kind of gritty, aggressive. I think that's
Fire in the belly.
I think
Yeah.
there's some I think Royal Bengal Tiger is the nickname that's been doing the rounds on social media. I think that kind of
Nice.
sums that up. So I think if he can find a way to develop a bit more, get into the top 80, top 70 bracket, and continue doing well domestically in India, I think a big prospect for the future. No reason to just limit this to the under 19 level.
Yeah.
Definitely can be someone good in the seniors. So that's also someone that I'm really really looking forward to watch.
Nice. Sora Matsushima
Yeah.
and
How about
Honoka
yourself?
Hashimoto. They're two good, two really,
Yeah.
really solid picks there. Yeah. I
Hmm.
think Sora Matsushima is the player who Team China fear the most in the men's game. Even
Oh yeah, you
I
think?
think so. I think even more than Felix Lebrun, Alexei Lebrun, Morigard, Calderano. I think for his age,
Hmm.
Matsushima is probably the most deadly player that I've ever seen. I think he's a great pick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%, man.
he's insane. He's
Yeah,
insane,
yeah, he's
and
insane. He's insane.
Ankur, and some of the Indian youths on the men and the women's side, really, really promising. I think just like in terms of the economy market, I think in the table tennis market, India are going to be a force to be reckoned with, a powerhouse in future. If they can convert that population and passion into infrastructure and
Yeah.
results, I see no reason why they can't be on the world podium. So
Yeah, man, I think that's the intention. Plenty of good people doing some really good work behind the scenes. So hopefully, that starts translating into even better results in the coming few seasons. So yeah, buzzed to see what's coming.
beautiful. Is there anything else this year
Yeah,
that really
you got
stood out to
any
you?
different young
Oh, young
players
picks.
that you think? Yeah.
I love Oh Junsung from Korea. I think his game is
Yes.
astonishingly complete for his age.
Yes.
Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think if he can just develop maybe a little bit more of a killer instinct, I think we
Hmm.
could have players like the LeBruns for breakfast. Seriously, I mean, I love the LeBrun brothers. Don't get me wrong, but I think that Felix LeBrun still has a big issue with his forehand and his crossover section. And I think
Hmm.
Alexi's got a few issues with his transitions and decision making. Of course, they've cemented themselves as top 10 players in the world and they belong there. But 2026, I think that if we don't see some improvement, they could drop off a little bit outside the top 10. I think there is a risk. When you
Mm.
have Matsushima, you've got Junsung coming up so well, and others too. Um, yeah,
That's actually a really good pick, and the reason that Oh Jun Sung never came to my mind was because I kind of just visualized all the players that I saw playing this year, and Oh Junsung didn't come to mind as a young player because of what you just said. You know,
Yeah,
the completeness, the well-roundedness of the game doesn't really come across as someone who, I think he's still 19, isn't he?
he's so young. You've got a few
Yeah.
guys around this age. The guy who just won the World Youth Championships, Ryusei Kawakami, who plays so similar to Tagami. He's coming.
Yes,
You've got
it's so similar to Togami. Yeah.
you've got some of the Indians, other Koreans, other Japanese. You've got the likes of Wonrei Bo, Hwang Yo-jung. This is now the new
Yeah.
era. This is the new age of table tennis right now.
It is. It
Um,
is. Yeah.
and I think that's more visible
Yeah.
in the men's game than the women's game. But who do you think, in
Hmm.
terms of women's players, we should be looking out for in 2026?
Um. Again, I don't think Miwa is the right name to say here because Miwa is already such a proven entity. I think I'm really interested to see what Annette does next year. Annette
Mm,
Kaufman.
yeah,
And I say this because again a well-known player, but she's not really broken into the top 50 or 40 in a consistent way, hasn't has she? And not yet dominant in Europe, despite being world under 19 champion. I think it was last year that she was world under 19 champion, so world junior champion. So I think next year is going to be a big season for her. She's in that difficult phase of a playing career where she's making that transition from age group level to the seniors, where it is difficult because I think mentally also it's a big shift, isn't it? Because you have that extra bit of pressure, or even if you don't have the pressure, you don't have that freedom anymore of just play expressing yourself against players you're not really expected to beat. But now, especially after the quality of a game at the Paris Olympics, I think people and Annette herself have a lot more expectations of herself. So managing that and doing well next year, I think will be, I think top 30 at least, or top 25 should be a target for Annette,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
to be able to continue being really relevant. So I'm really excited. I do think she has the potential to be able to do that. Another really good young European player I like is Hana Rapovic
mm,
from Croatia. I think she's really good. I think she really flies under the radar. I think she's been European youth champion, really good in the mixed doubles as well at the mixed team World Cup with Ivor Ban. Got a lot of things going right for her. Really compact, good touch, great strokes, got attacks on both sides. So I think she's someone who could also do really well. And I think she's got a great coaching team around her as well with the Croatian national team. So
yeah,
yeah, I think those two are people I'm really excited to watch.
yeah. I really enjoyed that mixed team World Cup, seeing Ivo Ban and Rapovic play together there. They're a pair for the
Yeah,
future. They'll be in the
insane.
mix
Yeah,
in LA
absolutely.
2028 for the mixed team World Cup.
Hmm.
Couple of other young players I want to give a quick mention to before our last segment of this episode. But the
Yeah.
Romanian youth team, I think, deserve a mention on the men's side. Well, they're seniors
Hmm.
now, but they're still so young. Edward Genescu and Julian Chirița.
Yeah.
Romania, hats off to you because they reached the final of the European Team Championships on the men's side for the first time in history. I think that Chirița, Ionescu, they're a good team with Darius Molevianu as well.
Yes.
There are a few examples of world youth players that have made that step. All three of them
Yeah,
seem
yeah,
to have
made
made
that
that.
transition into the national team. Yeah, I think apart from these guys, I think it's senior pro Ovidiu Vinescu who's the only one that's still around from some of the old hands. You know,
Mm,
it's all the under 22s, under 23s, under 20s that are a part of the men's team now. So yeah, big future for Romania. So good shout there, man. Yeah.
yeah, but back to Kaufman for a second. 100% like
Hmm.
world youth champion. She's intelligent player. I think you're
Hmm.
right in what you say about her. I'm just worried about her height and potential injury with the knees, with the elbows. it's tough, isn't it, as a tall player to have that longevity.
Yeah,
Let's see with her, but I think she's really really promising. If she can just step it up a gear now with Winter there as
yeah.
well, and the German women's team are almost untouchable within Europe. Any
Yeah,
others?
yeah, but I do think they've got the right coaching team, man. They've got
Mm,
Zoltan Potorfi, Tamara Boros, Jorg Roskopf. I mean, I don't think you can ask for more support and structure as a young players. These guys are some of the top, have been some of the top players in the world, top coaches in the world now. So I think between them and their sports science team, they'll figure out a way to get the best off of her. But yeah, the height and the issues that come with it, definitely something to be careful of. But I don't think that should be the limitation, at least in the next 2 or 3 years with age on her side in the lead up to LA. I
mm.
think that should be a problem they will solve,
What do you
or
think?
I'm hoping they do at
I
least.
hope they solve it. I hope they solve it. But
Yeah.
what do you also think of these players? Because these players are also in the conversation, like Kaufman as young challengers. Pratika Pavard, Shin Yubin, Kim Na-young, Adriana Diaz. These players, what have you made of them?
Yeah.
Is there anything you think that they should be focusing on going into 2026?
Um, Pratika Pawar is I think one of the most talented women's players around, and I think she can give pretty much anyone a run for their money when she's in full flow. I think what she really needs to be careful of is the fact that she gets really carried away. I mean, I think as an opponent, you're kind of rooting for Pratika to make a good shot, because you know that she's probably going to lose her head and try something different for the next couple of points.
Mm.
So if I was coaching against Pratika and she hits a really good shot, I mean, I can't really ask for anything better. I'm just going to tell my player to, yeah, just hang in there. She's going to donate a couple of points to you now, which I think has been happening in the last 5 or 6 months. I love the fact that she plays with a lot of personality. She tries to express herself, and that's a very French national team thing as well. They play with no holds barred.
Yeah,
It's not really
romance.
about the
There's a
situation.
romance to their game. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I wouldn't, want that to be ever taken away. But I do think that it needs to be kind of tempered a bit with some practicality. I mean, why change what's working, or why try a 360 spin after a regular forehand shot just to add some extra pizzazz to it? You're still going to win the same point.
Mm.
And if that 360 spin is pushing the ball out, there's no point to it. I mean, if you can make it, then yeah, great. Looks great, feels great, 100%. But especially when you're struggling for form, as she has been in the last few months, I think when once she's able to kind of get that maturity and find that balance between the flowery bits of the game and the practical bits, I think she can be a real threat, because she's obviously left-handed, big forehand, good serves, good backhand as well. Still very young, so
Yeah.
not taking anything away from her. So yeah, I think that's something that she needs to focus on. Adriana, I think, is a lot more sorted out. The only thing that I can kind of think of is the fact that she sometimes a bit passive from the backhand side.
Mm.
I think she sometimes just depends a bit too much on her backhand punches rather than hit something that's more of a roll or a bit more of a topspin. And that, I think, for the Asian players who kind of do this motion for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it just makes it too easy for them to stay consistent
Mm.
against someone like Adriana. And because you're going to lose your timing at some point when you keep punching at the ball from your backhand side. Or if that's not working for her, maybe working a bit more on that step around forehand
Mm.
would be something that Adriana could do to really elevate her game. Kim Na-young, really good, really solid, but I think she needs to develop a bit more of a killer instinct, similar to Oh Junsung. I would say that, got all the right things going, can't really point out a technical flaw or something that's missing in their arsenal, but yeah, needs that killer instinct to be able to close out points and matches, and I can see her being a real challenger to Shin Yubin as the Korean number one, and definitely someone who can be top 10, top 8, top 5 in the world. So yeah, Kim Naeong is also a really good shout, I would say, as a young player.
Nice. And
Yeah.
finally, before we wrap things up today, let's have a bit of fun. Let's make a couple of predictions that we're going to look back
Yeah.
on this time next year, and we can see whether we were right, whether we were wrong, whether we were even close. I'm going to just ask you. We can both chat about it a little bit because we're just reaching the hour mark now, so perfect timing. But who do you think? First and foremost, let's talk about the World Championships, because next year in London is the centenary World Team Table Tennis Championships, the 100th. We're coming back to England where it all began.
Yes.
Who do you see as winning the men's team and the women's team, and who do you see being the biggest challengers?
Men's team, China. Women's team, also China. Biggest challengers for the women's has to be Japan. For I think for both men and women, in all honesty, I think it's Japan. Although France also really good, Germany also really good in the men. So I don't think it's as straightforward in the men. I do think Germany, Japan, and France are all three really good teams. But if you ask me to pick the best one of these three, purely because Harimoto's got such a good record against the Chinese players, I think Japan just gets over in that area. And of course Sweden as well, but I do think Sweden is slightly overly dependent on rules to have a good day.
Yeah,
I think
I agree
the
with that.
other three teams that I just mentioned have a bit more depth and others to fall back on. But yeah, I think Anton Chalberg, if again fantastic player, can beat anyone on his day. We saw him do that at the Paris Olympics, where he came back from 2-0 down against Harimoto, and honestly one of the most aesthetically pleasing players to see. Again, someone I would really recommend to a young player, to watch some Anton Chalberg videos to kind of model your strokes
Powerful
around.
on the forehand. Great timing. Yeah. Yeah. Lovely player to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Great timing. So relaxed. Fantastic. Yeah. I really like Chalberg. So yeah, I think Japan, Germany, and France in the men's are really, really good contenders. The only reason that I don't put Korea Republic in there is because I think they're still searching for a bit more balance, or they've still not figured out who their best players are. Chang Woojin definitely the best, but I don't think they know who off of Lim Jong Hoon or An Jae Hyun and Oh Junsung is going to be that next best, or maybe even the leading player going forward, because Jang Woo-jin's been doing that for a few years now, even when Lee Sang-soo and players like that were around. So yeah, I think they need to figure that out.
They were the closest to Team China last year at the World Championships in Korea. They took China to a decider. Im Jong-hoon lost both his matches, but Lee Sang-soo beat Ma Long and Jang Woo-jin beat Wang Chi-chin. So maybe now, with an improved An Jae-hyun, who, by the way, nearly won his second bronze medal at the World Championships this year in singles, and with Oh Junsung, maybe they could be challengers, because
they could be, absolutely. They've always been good at big events, and like you said, An Jae-hyun also really does well at these big events, big match player. Jang Woo-jin really experienced. Oh Jun-sung, I don't see how he gets any worse as a player. I think it's only going to be upwards for him. So yeah, and Lim Jong Hoon obviously brings the whole left-handed variety in there as well, and top player. Just won the WTT finals in the mixed doubles with Shin Yubin. So still very relevant as a player, very much a threat. And he had an insane rally with Wong Chu Chin, didn't he? At the World Championships.
Outstanding.
It's a fantastic
he's
man.
incredible. I think he's actually beaten Ma Long once before Im Jong-hoon, but it
Oh, has
definitely,
he?
yeah, once before. But he's definitely more of a double specialist than a single standout. And
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
special mention to Lee Sang-soo, because just like the legendary Indian star Sharatha Chanta Kamal, Sang-soo
Mm-hmm.
retired this season after the Champions
Yeah,
Frankfurt.
he did.
Also, we saw Bojan Tokic, who a lot of fans will remember had an epic against Marlon at the World Championships in
Yes,
2011. He retired.
he
Hannah
did. Yeah.
Matalova and Jin Ji-hee also retired. So before we move on, just a quick special mention for those legends who retired this year. Okay, so moving on to our next prediction, Ashwin. Let's talk about the WTT series. Who do you see winning a star contender who has never won one before? Who do you put as a men and women's player? Who do you think could do it?
Mm. That's a really interesting question. And just as a reference point, I'm going to pull up the top 2025 world rankings
Sure.
to help me
Okay.
make an informed prediction.
Yeah.
Okay. Um,
I'm gonna give you mine while you're having a little think about that. I'm gonna go with
yeah.
Sabine Winter on the women's
Ooh,
side.
interesting. Yeah.
I could see her
Yeah. Yeah. Good shout.
winning her first. And on the
Mm-hmm.
men's, I'm gonna go with either Alexei Lebrun or,
Ooh.
to be fair, Sora Matsushima's never won one. He's gone straight to champions. But I'm gonna go with Tagami. I'd like to see Tagami or Alexei win their first star contender. Dang Cho did it this year in London. He won his first. So
Yes.
maybe those two.
Has Duda won a star contender yet?
No,
I don't think
finalists this
Duda's
year.
won.
Finalists this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to be honest, I don't. I for some reason can't see Duda winning. I hope he does. Love the guy,
Yeah.
super player.
Awesome guy.
But if you want to ask me a prediction, I was actually going to say Alexi. I think Alexi is a great shout, and I think it's high time he manages to win one. Definitely at that. He's already completed European table tennis, hasn't he?
Done it all. This
He's
year,
pretty much won.
this
Yeah,
year he won
yeah,
every available gold medal. Singles, doubles, team, top 16.
yeah. So already a European legend. Um, Yeah, if you think about it, he is, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think he's. I don't
He's
think
done it.
people like even Werner Schlager and players of that level have managed to get that kind of dominance in Europe. Oh, I also wanted to check, has Darko Jokic ever won a
No,
WTT star
he's not.
contender?
He's gotten
I
to
don't
the
think
final
Darko
once in Doha.
has. I really rate Darko.
Mm,
For people keep saying that he doesn't really have uh, a forehand, or maybe not as good a forehand as a player who's ranked as high as he is should have. But I do think he's a really really threatening player. Can beat pretty much anyone on a good day. Got some big wins against a couple of the Chinese as well, if I'm not wrong. He's beaten
yeah.
Lin Shidong,
He's
has he?
beaten Lin Shidong. He's beaten Liang Jingkun a couple of times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think Darko can be a bit of a dark horse
Nice.
in winning a WDT star contender for the first time. And honestly, I'm surprised that he hasn't won a star contender yet. So I think for me, it would be. I agree with the two names you just said, and
Yeah.
maybe someone like Darko
Nice
as well.
picks. I like those
Oh,
picks.
yeah,
I like those
yeah,
picks. I
yeah.
agree. A lot of people do sleep on Jogic.
Yeah.
He's made two Olympic quarterfinals at the end of the day. He's a
I think
wonderful
three-time
player.
European champion as well, isn't he?
Top
Two or
16.
three-time European champion. Yeah,
Only
European top 16 cup. Yeah,
only man with off to have won that 3 times in a row, that event. So
exactly.
hat
Yeah.
trick hero.
So it's clearly up there. Yeah,
I
yeah.
like that pick. I'm also going to just chuck one more name into that list of potential star contender winners next year. I'm going to chuck Anders Lind in there.
Mhm.
I'm going to chuck Anders Lind
Ooh,
because he this year has been exceptional. Won his first
he
contender,
has.
champion semi-finalist. I think he could win a star contender next year to win his best event yet. Let's see.
I always used to think Anders was a bit gimmicky as a player. I thought he was too over reliant. This was initial looks, of course. I thought he was too reliant on fancy serves or weird chop blocks or weird side spin top spins from under the table. But I have to admit that I don't think that's the case anymore. He's a lot more well rounded as a player,
Mm,
can actually outplay quite a few players now. I don't think he runs the risk anymore of being beaten just because players know that he's going to try a quirky stroke at some point. I don't think he needs to depend on those anymore. He's still got all of those in his arsenal. I think that makes him a really smart player, but I don't think he's dependent on just off putting an
yeah,
opponent. I think he can outplay opponents as
he
well now,
can
which makes him really dangerous with the other stuff that he has going on, and really street smart as a player as well. So yeah, I think really interesting shout, and would be good to have a Danish player winning a major table tennis event as well.
for
I
sure.
do want to give you one more name for the women.
Okay,
Um, I don't know if it will happen, but I would really like to see Satsuki Odo win a WTT star contender if she hasn't. Has she?
she hasn't.
Or
She's
I'm not
won a
sure.
contender and she's won a champions, but she's not won a star contender.
Okay, she's won a champions, and I don't think this year has been as good for her as
No,
she would have liked it to be. I think she's probably got 69 or 70% win rate,
yeah,
which I don't think is her true level as a player. But I think she can be really dominant in that star contender circuit. In all honesty,
yeah.
and if you ask me purely from a quality of strokes point of view,
Mm,
I think she is probably the best Japanese women's player out there, even better than Miwa, purely because of the variety, the
and the
power,
footwork.
the and the footwork.
Yeah,
So and better than Hina Hayata as well, purely because Hina
backhand.
is not as powerful. Yeah, and the backhand is a bit passive, but I don't think Satsuki has any kind of limitations
No,
like that.
rocket, rocket.
So I'd really like to see Satsuki. Yeah, I'd really like to see Satsuki doing it. And interestingly, when I was in Macau, I used to love spending time in the training hall, because sometimes honestly it's more fun to watch players go at it in the training hall, because you get so much more insight into
Yeah,
what actually goes on behind the scenes. It's a big privilege to have access to those areas. And without naming names, I actually saw a few of the top European players actually, have a bit of a tiff over who would get to train with Satsuki next.
wow.
Such was the demand for Satsuki in the training hall. And this was men's players, mind you. This was not the women
They
that
really
were
want to play with her.
having a bit of a friendly fight. Yeah, yeah. So such is the quality. And I saw her ripping some insane backhand topspins from off the table. Like she was way, way away from the table. And you wouldn't think of someone her size being able to do that. I mean, you see someone like a Tomislav Pucar or Taco Jogic, and you think, yeah, this dude's going to be able to rip a backhand from probably even a mile away from the table. But you see someone like Satsuki, and yeah, it
It's
was
awesome, isn't it?
it was mind blowing. It's awesome. Yeah, I think she's great.
Yeah, I think she definitely could if Miwad decides to let somebody else have some joy at the star contender level, because she's won 3 of the
Yeah,
available 4 this year.
yeah,
Shout out as well to
she
Sakura
has.
Yokoi. I think she's got a lot of promise. She's sort of Odo's right hand woman, like great friends, both from the same club in Japan. I think Yokoi could be one to watch. Whoops, there goes the light. Next year. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's upgrade now. Let's think about who could potentially win. We'll skip champions because it's a similar kind of discussion. What about Grand Smashers? There's only 4.
Yeah.
Who do you think could potentially win a Smash this upcoming year that hasn't ever won one?
Maybe Hugo. I think
Hmm.
Hugo's yet to win a smash, isn't he? And I think that would be a really good addition to his already historic CV at this point.
Yeah.
But I think that would be a great addition to yeah, Hugo's collection. and he's definitely someone who can win a smash. I can kind of visualize Hugo winning one. So I'm gonna pick Hugo or maybe Felix, one of these two to be a new face to win a smash.
I like that. Yeah. Why
Yeah.
not? When he's won what he's won already, why not him?
Yeah.
Why not Tomokazu Haramoto? I'm going to put him as a potential smash winner. Why not
Yeah.
Matsushima? Why not one of the LeBron brothers? Felix was close this year
Yeah.
at the United States Smash. Yeah, I'd go with those guys. And what about women's players?
Women's, I think it is going to be dominated by the Chinese. And this is my honest opinion because
Yeah.
I don't see Miwa outlasting one of the senior Chinese guys in I mean, Chinese women, sorry, in the Smash events. I think they really know how to pick their game up.
Mm.
But if I had to pick one, I would actually again go for one of maybe Miwa or Satsuki, who've kind of got that firepower to be able to win a Smash event. Zhu Yuling's already won a Smash event, so can't really mention her.
Yeah.
I think even from the Chinese, if I had to pick someone who is not a mainstream player yet, but is kind of upcoming, I would probably pick. I name. Just give me a sec. I think Chen Yi actually can be a
Chen Yi.
new Smash champion. Yeah, I think Chen Yi can be one. Yeah,
I think
I think. Yeah.
potentially. I think potentially. I think Kwai Man's going to win a Smash next year. I think Kwai Man's going to win one of the
Oh,
four.
Kuaiman hasn't won a Smash yet, has she? No. Oh, yeah, yeah. Then
No,
Kuaiman over Chen Yi for
just like
sure.
Chen Yi. Both have got to a final. Kwai Man in Singapore, Chen Yi in
Mm-hmm.
Vegas. But yeah, never have done it. So I guess we can go with one of those two young Chinese.
Yeah, I think
Although,
yeah, if you want to go away from Wong Wen Yu and Sun Ying Sha, I think it's got to be Kuaiman or Chen Yi.
yeah,
And third outside contender maybe being Chen Tong, but I somehow get the feeling that both her and Wong Yidi are kind of slowly being phased out, and
yeah,
it's these guys that are actually going to be part of the national team going forward. But
yeah.
yeah, I think next season will tell.
Chin Yu
Oh,
Shui.
I
She's
actually
great
had
as well.
one last question for you.
What's
Sorry, yeah, go
what's
on,
that?
mate.
Sorry, Ashwin.
I just had I just mentioned about players being phased out, and I just wanted to like know your thoughts on Lin Gao Yuan, the Dark Knight, who we don't really see much of anymore. What do you think his future is going to be like? Do you see any return prospects for him to the national team,
I
or
think
no?
I think it's time to say night night to the Dark Knight. Unfortunately, Ashwin.
Yeah.
You know, I'm actually a really big fan of Lin Gaoyuan. I know that he's got a lot of
Mhm.
fans out there, and he's been one of the most relatable Chinese players because of the ups and downs in his career.
Yeah.
I think he's an absolute mastermind of spin generation in table tennis.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do, and I think he's going to come back as one of the top Chinese national team coaches in future. Um, but
Interesting.
as a player, I think we'll see him in the Super League, and we'll see him at the national games potentially. But I think as a player, internationally speaking, now he's lost a bit of that firepower, and I think it's probably time now to give some opportunity to Wenwei Bo, Huang Yozheng, Shang Peng
Yeah.
as well. These kind of guys, especially when it comes
Fair. Fair.
to those top events. And I don't even think that he makes it into champions events anymore because of his ranking. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Haven't
so
seen him around, so yeah.
yeah, I think that World Cup last year was the tipping point. I think that was one too far. He had it was 3-0 up in the final against Ma Long. I think that was the kind of the last straw for him. I think he's had a
Yeah.
great career. Like I say, I think he's a very intelligent player who I think could be a great coach with his personality as well. Um, a bit
That's
more.
actually a really good insight. I never thought of it that way.
Mm,
Now that you've mentioned the whole spin generation bit, and I think about some of it, yeah, I do kind of agree with that. That yeah, he doesn't really have any flat hits. It's so risky
yeah,
as a player. So yeah, I get what you mean when you say that.
yeah. I think that's what will kind of happen. Any any other players that you think we could be seeing less of in 2026? Any players you think that could be kind of fizzled out of the picture? Any players that you think might drop off? You know, plummet down the world rankings if they're not careful.
I would actually say, and I don't mean this in a negative way at all, but I
Mm,
think Benedict Duda is someone who, after ages of being on the fringes of the German national team over the last couple of years, has really come into his own, realizing his potential as a player, as a top player, great wins against some really good players, and now a feature in the top 10. But I think to hold on to that place in the top 10, if you ask me who the weak link is in the men's top 10 right now, I would say it's one of Dong Chu and Benedict Duda, because they've kind of been going in and out of the top 10, because I'm just seeing the looking at the rankings, and Benedict's actually just dropped out. He's at
mm,
12 right now,
okay.
and Dong Chu's on 10. I don't see any of the other top 10 really going out of it right now. And I don't just mean that because they're on the fringe anyway. I mean it level wise as well. I don't see someone like Sora dropping out of the top 10 next year. I don't see someone like Truls dropping out of the top 10 next year. I don't see Alexi dropping out of the top 10 next year as well. But someone like Dongchu and Duda, who are also a bit more experienced than these guys, need to, I think, just be careful
Okay.
that they don't go off of that top 15. And I think one more player who really needs to be careful in the men is An Jae-hyun, who,
Mm,
despite being top 15, top 20 in the world, doesn't really have any major tournament wins or title wins yet, except for a bronze medal at the world champs, which in all honesty, it's been a while now since then. And with players like Oh Junsung and Lim Jong Hoon still very much relevant, and I'm sure Korea Republic has a few more players in the pipeline. I think Han Jae-hyun needs to be really careful that he still has got that fire left in him, to be able to do well. So I think those two or three names um, are someone who can kind of risk a bit of a drop off.
okay.
Uh,
Okay.
Sorry, this might be a bit of a change from the question, but
Mm,
you were talking about dark horse earlier,
yeah.
and I think Lin Ru is due for a bit of a
Yeah.
rejuvenation.
I
Uh,
think he's dropping off, and I think that he'll continue to drop off if he's not careful. I was about to mention Lin Win Ru
oh, you think
because
so?
yeah,
Yeah,
man, yeah. I mean, he hasn't won an event in 2 years. Champions Frankfurt
yeah.
2023. He just doesn't seem to have that killer instinct or that firepower. He needs to be a man about it, man. He's got to stick his chest out really now and start really um, imposing
Yeah.
himself, or I think he will be out of that picture, man. I think for someone who's got such insane shot quality, I just can't understand where he's going wrong. Really, he's got such an amazing game. Um, but yeah, maybe the fact that he is due a win, maybe the fact that he knows that could motivate him to maybe winning another Champions event,
Yeah,
for example.
that's my logic behind it. That I don't see a player of his quality having a slump of beyond 2 years. Because if you think about it, despite having a really really slow 18 months for his standards, he's still top 15 in the world. And I don't think any player walks into a match kind of really backing themselves that, okay, yeah, I'm definitely going to be beating him. I think he still earns that kind of respect. But yeah, that respect does have a ticking time limit,
Mm,
which is if next season doesn't go well, will
yeah.
run out like you said. So I think we're on the opposite ends of the spectrum here. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's on Lin Minru to kind of prove which one of us is right. I certainly hope I am right because I really like what he brings
Yeah.
to the table. He's not very powerful, but really smart, really crafty, silent assassin, really,
Yeah. Under the radar, he's just stealthy.
introverted, but
Yeah.
goes about his business so professionally. Such a likable character as well. So
100%.
yeah,
He
I'm
could be like
hoping he
a.
does well. But I do agree with your point
He could be
that
like
he
a.
does risk dropping off.
Yeah, for sure. There's no reason why he couldn't be like a kind of Timo Boll kind of character in future. Someone who we just look back at with an incredible career, a really fair
Yeah.
sportsman who's achieved so much and given so much to the sport. I want to Chinese Taipei with their team, with Lin Wenru, with Gao Zhengrui, with future stars. We saw the Chinese Taipei youth team at the World Youth Championships. Guo Guanhong. They could be big challengers at the World Team Championships as well.
They can,
Next
yeah.
year. The women's team hasn't quite got it, have they? With Zheng Yijing, Chen Su-yu, Li Yujun. They've got Ye Chen, who Zhuang Jiyuan is coaching a lot now. She's going to be a future star,
Mhm.
but yeah, we'll see. With respect to that.
Yeah. I think Feng Yixin is also really good in the men's with Chinese Taipei. So they've got good players in the men. Yeah, so definitely dark horses, but I think they will have to be careful who they draw, and a Lin Wenru in full form makes things really easy for them, because if he can guarantee two matches against most teams in the world, which I do think he can, unless it's maybe China or Japan or Germany or maybe Sweden, I would say. But yeah, I think against pretty much everyone, he has a potential to at least get one win
Yeah.
against the leading player of the opposite team. So yeah, good shout, man, there. And with the women, I think both the South American stars, Bruna and Adriana, kind of need to be really on top of their game to maintain their place in the top 20. And I do think Ju Cheon Hee of the Korea Republic, Ju Cheon Hee, she also needs to be a bit careful. I get the feeling sometimes that she, again, I don't know if it's a common problem with the whole Korea Republic team, that there's a bit of a lack of killer instinct, but I see that a lot in her as well. And I think Kim Na Young would be someone who replaces her as the second best Korea Republic player in the women. So
Yeah.
I think those three are players kind of at risk of maybe struggling to maintain their place right now in the top 20. I
Yeah.
see most of the others managing to do so.
No, I think that they're great shouts, Ashwin. I think Ju Chun Hee, relatively speaking, has been in good form. Maybe the best form of her year this year. Shin Yu Bin as well has rejuvenated a bit. Decent result at the China Smash, and stuff. But yeah, I know what you're saying. They need a little bit more about their game if they are to secure their spot, like you
Yeah,
say with Diaz
yeah,
and Takahashi as well. Bit more killer instinct, a bit more confidence, a bit more aggression around the table, a bit more, not awareness, but maybe risk taking, a bit more bold serving. You don't see many wide serves in the women's game all the time, even from some of the best players. You don't
yeah,
see players changing it up so often to say a simple backhand serve. You sometimes
yeah,
want to see a bit more of that unorthodox side come out of these players who we know have the
yeah.
potential to be creative. Hannah Godder as well. I think that we need to see more from her in 2026, and we by her standards should
Yeah.
see more from her as she continues to grow.
I think she will. I think she will, and I think she needs to be really careful not to get sucked into the fact that she's the best player in Africa right now. I think she needs to have that reality check internally. Of course, I
Yeah,
mean, it's something that she should be really proud of. There's absolutely no question about that. But yeah, I think she needs to be careful that she doesn't rest on her laurels, so to speak. She needs to realize her potential, that she is, if she does things the right way, can be top 15 or top 10 in the world as well, because she's got the fitness levels, she's got the strokes,
yeah,
age on her side. no reason why she needs to limit herself to what she's achieved right now. I don't think adding any more African championships are gonna
No,
increase her reputation as a player.
I
I think
can't.
it's winning those contender events, star contender
Yeah,
events, that should be her next target, most definitely. So yeah, I think time for Hannah Gora to make a big jump maturity wise.
yeah, I'd
Yeah,
love to see it.
it's time.
I'd love to see it.
I love to see it. Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
much personality, and she just wears her heart on her sleeve. She's one of my very favorite players. She's someone who I'd love to coach. Actually,
Yeah,
she's someone who I'd love to coach. You know, if I wasn't
interesting, man.
commentating,
Yeah,
I think that she's got so much star power. Okay, let's do
yeah.
one more question. One more question for you, Ashwin.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it can be a solemn topic. It depends what way you spin it. We haven't talked about it. We've gone through a lot, and I think it's been a great episode. So thank you again for joining me today. Um, but what I want to know is, do you think that we will see the return of Cheng Meng and Fan Zhendong to WTT next year, maybe in 2027? I want to know what you think, because a lot of fans were absolutely stunned at the news that came early on in the year. They had their own reasons. We're not going to get into that. But could you see them making a return to the international stage?
In all honesty, no. Uh, and I say that because Fan Jingdong clearly enjoying life, still world class, still, if you ask me, the best player in the world. he
Yeah.
he pretty much decimated everyone at the Chinese national games, and people were going off a bit about his results in the Bundesliga, and the European Champions League not being his usual quality. I think he lost a couple of matches, but I mean, he's still the man, isn't he? He's still the guy to beat. And I think Wang Chuchin said this in an interview later on as well, after the Chinese national games, that he still thinks there's a lot to learn from brother Fan. I think was what he said.
Mm,
So clearly, still commands the respect of the Chinese teammates, of his Chinese teammates as well. The only reason I don't see him making a return is because I don't think China really has a look back policy.
mm,
Uh, and it's not that they're struggling for results as well. I mean, yeah, sure, not as dominant in the men at least, but
mm,
and same logic for Chun Meng as well. Even without her, it's not like Sun Ying, Shao, Wong Wen Yu, or now that they have Guai Mon in the picture as well. It's not that they're struggling for major results at the big events. It would be great to have them back. There's no two questions about that. But I don't see the Chinese national team actively pursuing their return. If they do return, I think it will be a personal choice. And even if they do return, I don't see them making a comeback into the Chinese national team,
okay.
because I think they would anyway want to move on from them as they prepare for LA, which is still a couple of years away. And
Mm,
I think both Fan Jingdong and Chen Meng will almost be 30, if not 30,
yeah.
by the time LA 2028 kicks in. And if they're not actively training with the national setup, I don't see why they would want to pick them for the Olympics, even if Fan Jingdong still manages to win the national games.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure what Chung Meng's up to actually, right now. I don't know if you know, but
I think that
if
she
she's
was
not actively
studying.
training,
I
I
think she was
see.
studying. We've seen that from quite a few of the Chinese players, like Ding Ning, when they've just taken a bit of more of a back seat with their career playing
Yeah.
wise. I think she's been studying. I think that she's still playing quite often and training. No, I think you make a good point. China don't often look back, and they don't often
Yeah.
want to revisit sore subjects, especially when they have that luxury of the depth within the squad. I can't see Chen Meng making a return. I could
Mm-hmm.
personally see Fan Zhendong making a
Mm-hmm.
return. Um,
Yeah.
I think he's still very young. I think theoretically he could still have another 2 Olympics in him if he wanted, and he is the defending champion. I also think China
Yeah.
kind of need him. I also think not having
Mm-hmm.
him around is hurting the likes of Wang Chuqin and Lin Shidong. I think whether they want to admit it or not, they need him around. as the captain kind of figure, and not having him there could make them feel a bit lost. And I think that he's just such a positive presence to have. And also, I think that he's got the potential of becoming one of the greatest of all time. I mean, he already is, but I mean, in terms of the Olympics, the greatest of all time. You know, Ma Long has 2 golds and a silver. Sorry, 2 golds. Ma Long. Fan Zhendong
Yeah,
has the potential of winning 2 golds and a silver. He could beat Ma Long's personal record. I think
yeah.
maybe more likely that Fan Zhendong returns, but I understand what you're
Chan
saying.
Meng's pretty much ruled out, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it would be. I'd love to see him come back. We'll just have to see.
I'd love to
Yeah,
see that as well, and it suddenly makes all our discussions then about the Germans being able to challenge them or the Japanese team being able to make some inroads. Suddenly, all those arguments are in the bin if Fan
yeah.
Jingdong comes
It's
back.
had such an
Um,
effect. I felt like I kind of had to ask you about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely not something I expected to see at the beginning of the season. That's for sure. Marlon, maybe yes. I
Mm,
did expect to see him deciding to go down a different route. Uh, but yeah, Fan Jingdong was a big surprise. But in all honesty, I mean purely as a fan and someone who really likes to see athletes doing well off the field as well. I love the way he's spending his time. He's
yeah.
living a great life, still top class in the world.
Mm,
I mean, the guy is just hanging out with Zinedine Zidane and getting a game of table tennis across. I mean,
yeah, it's brilliant. It's
can't get any better than that, is
no.
it? And such a great moment for table tennis as a sport as well. For a sport that,
Yeah,
despite I recently read that there's 300 million players worldwide that play competitive table tennis. So we're obviously one of the biggest sports in the world, but sometimes there is this underlying resentment of feeling that we don't get the as a sport we don't get the respect or the recognition that we deserve. And I think this is the way to go about it, isn't it? By putting the top players out there. I mean, I don't see why Fon Dong is any less of an athlete than Zinedine Zidane. Zidane might be more marketable.
yeah,
I mean, no disrespect to Zidane, honestly, but no disrespect to Fon Dong either, is there? I mean, two elite athletes hanging out, doing what they love, signing each other's
it's
t-shirts, getting a
beautiful.
game of footy and table tennis in. I think this is what makes sport beautiful, man.
We
I
need
think we
these
need more.
crossovers in table tennis. We
We
need to
do.
get celebrities playing TT. We need to mix it and mash it all together if possible. And I agree. He's
Yeah.
spending his time. He's living his own life. What's wrong with taking a break, man? If
Yeah. Yeah.
as long
Christmas
as
with Timo Bowl at
Christmas
his
with Timo
house.
Ball, we know they're good friends. We've
Insane.
seen Timo take him to a was it a Dusseldorf game before a couple of years ago. I mean, as long as the reasons
Hmm.
that Fan Zhendong said he didn't want to play are genuine, then fair enough. What can you say?
Yeah, man. Fair play. I mean, can't really
Yeah, he's taken a
take anything away from the man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Each to their own, and it has changed the dynamic, hasn't it, of player coach association in the Chinese team. That's probably the most surprising thing about it, right? The fact that a player like that
Yeah.
has stepped away and said, "Look, it's my choice, my decision, my life. You can't do anything about it. I'll,
Yeah.
I'll, I if there's consequences, there's consequences. But at the end of the day, um, I don't see the need in playing much anymore. Um,
Yes.
you know, that came as a real surprise. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there'll be a silver
But yeah.
lining to it. Let's see.
I hope there is. I hope there is. And maybe this ushers in a new era of crossovers between table tennis legends and sporting legends from um, other aspects of sport as well. So yeah, man, I really enjoy seeing a photo of Fan Dong with Zidane. And you mentioned about how we need celebrities and pop culture interaction with table tennis, and I think every table tennis fan should go watch Marty Supreme, shouldn't they? I mean,
Yes.
it can't get if you have an Hollywood A-lister like Timothy Chalamet
Yeah.
basically promoting the game of table tennis for all purposes. I think this is the kind of content that table tennis as a sport needs, and hopefully that has some kind of positive kickback as we go into the 100th year of the International Table Tennis Federation, organized table tennis, and hopefully 2026 is a bloody fantastic year for the sport. So yeah,
Well said, my
lots
friend.
of things to look forward to.
Well said. Yeah,
Yeah.
go check out Mighty Supreme. I went to watch it 2 nights ago, and yeah, I've actually just released a video reviewing it. So make sure to go check that out on my channel, guys.
Will do, my friend. Will do.
Ashwin, it's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you so much for being my first guest on this channel. Hopefully, we can have many more of these kind of chats next year. And yeah, to everybody who's watching this video, if there's anything that you want to mention that we've talked about in this, if there's anything you agreed with or disagreed with, we'd love to hear your thoughts as well in the comment section. And if you're new to the channel, please hit me up with a subscribe. It definitely helps. I'm hoping to bring a lot of new content to you all in 2026. So thank you so much for watching this. Ashwin, again, thank you so much, mate. And yeah, hopefully see you soon.
Lovely to have been a part of this, man.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Appreciate that, bro. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.